I'd like to announce some house abide by your COVID-19 guidelines by wearing your masks and being mindful of your distance. We do have hand sanitizers available in the gallery. Allow me to introduce the members of your Committee on Commerce and Tourism. Representative Patrick San Nicolas from Precinct 6 is the Vice Chair. He's on excused absence today. Representative Selena Babauta from Precinct 1. She's also on excused absence. Representative Vicente Camacho from Precinct 3. Representative Richard Lizama from Precinct 5. Floor Leader Ralph Yumo from Precinct 3. I'd like to recognize the staff of the Legislative Bureau who are here with us today. Our legal counsel, Mr. Bermudez. Bermudez, right? Huh?
Yes,
You're correct, Chair.
Okay. The legislative assistant assigned to your Committee on Commerce and Tourism, Ms. Clarissa Sablan. She will also be keeping the minutes of this meeting. Our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Regis. Our IT Manager, Mr. Jonathan Diaz, will be recording our meeting live for the cable, as well as streaming it live on FB on the CNMI's Legislature's page. Please be advised that even if we are on recess, our FB Live will continue streaming. We will now move to the next item on the agenda, public comments. I would like to now open the floor for public comments on any one or all of the bills. Rep. Blanco.
In the middle.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good morning, members of the Committee on Tourism, Commerce, and Cannabis. My name is Ivan Blanco. I'm the mover of House Bill 22-9. This is a recycled bill that was introduced in the, actually this bill was Vice Speaker at House Bill back in the 19th or 18th legislature. So it has been recycled, and this is the third time it's up for that. I have noticed that when it was introduced in the 21st, this bill was introduced with legal sufficiency by our legal counsel, Mr. John Cole. The recent bill today in the 22nd legislature was introduced for introduction only. And the purpose, if I recall correctly, was that there was not enough time for our legal counsel to go over the bill page by page. So if it pleases this body, we can table this bill or file it. And if it is advisable by the council, I can reintroduce this bill, give the legal counsel time to review it page by page. And if they do so deem that it conforms with legal sufficiency of what the requirements are, and they sign off on it, then I would be happy to reintroduce this bill. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and also speaking in support of House Bill 22-10, prohibit the importation and use of foam food containers. Again, this is a recycled bill from last legislature. It was passed, went to the Senate, but because of time, I understand our Senate counterparts were not able to entertain it. There is strong support in the community. There's also, I understand, concern from our business community on what the alternatives are for foam trays that are used for poultry, meats, and whatnot. It only takes a little bit of research that you will see that a lot of the islands in the Pacific region are adopting non-foam food containers, as they have realized that it is detrimental to the environment, it is detrimental to consumers' health. And I think it is time that we start considering moving into biodegradable food containers that are healthy and safe for our environment and for our consumers. I had reached out to our Miss Earth this morning, Mr. Lahi. I understand she may be in class, but she had expressed her support and her willingness to be in front of the committee to express her support for this particular bill. In her absence, I just want to share that, even though she's not here, she might be in class, but her heart and her spirit is behind this bill. If it pleases the members of the committee, I encourage that we move on with this bill today and adopt it. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you, Mr. Blanco. Any more? Yes, Rep. Staffler.
Thank you, Chairwoman and the committee, for hearing me out to advocate for my bill. I cannot remember the number of it right this moment because I'm very nervous. It's different when you're sitting in this seat now, huh? But I do want to advocate for the allowance of including liquor sales online as an option for business owners who are changing the way business is run in the CNMI. More people have abandoned the idea of only having a brick and mortar store these days because there are so many ways that you can do business online. And by eliminating the overhead cost of brick and mortar stores, it allows our businesses to be innovative in the kinds of things that they offer. And allowing them this type of a license would allow them to expand their business options to include liquor sales for different types of things, like creating baskets for appreciation weeks on Mother's Day, for example. You can include a bottle of wine in that basket, whereas today you actually cannot. Business owners who want to apply for a liquor license for their non-brick and mortar store are not afforded that availability at this time. And so by approving this bill, you will allow our businesses to diversify their options. In addition to that, it might open the doors to more innovative ways of retail in our community. And so with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rep. Staffler. Any more public comments? Is we moving to new business? Okay, so we now move into the next item on the agenda, new business.
Moving on.
All right, the first bill, House Bill 22-09, a bill for an act to regulate trusts and fiduciaries and for other purposes. Any discussion? Yes, Rep. Lizama.
Thank you, Chairwoman. As the author of this bill stated, that it's important that we push this back to the table. And because for legal efficiency, I asked the committee that we move and make a motion to move this and put this on the table again. So I move.
Motion to lay the table?
Yeah.
No objection.
Okay, so we table it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can I get a motion to table pending legal counsel for further review?
Motion to move this, 22-9 and the table.
Okay.
Second.
Any
Already,
second?
already went.
No objection.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
All in favor?
So we're good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. So we will table it. Okay. The next one, House Bill 22-10, a bill for an act to prohibit the use of disposable food service containers. Discussion? Yes, Rep. Lizama.
Madam Chair, thank you again. I was here when this bill was introduced to the legislature, and of course it was passed on the floor. I don't see any changes, and of course we had what do you call it, a public hearing at that time too. They're not gonna be mandated to say, get rid of your styrofoam plates right now. They'll be given time. So with this bills that came back to the floor, I like to make a move to go ahead and put it on the calendar. So I make the move to put them on the calendar. Anyone wants to second it?
To adopt.
Not to adopt, I'm sorry.
Second. Before we move with that, Chair, I just want to comment now.
Before we entertain the motion to adopt the House Bill 22-12, I want to make a comment. I'm sorry, 22-10. You know that Chamber of Commerce did write to Representative Blanco and in support. I understand there are maybe businesses and maybe small business might be object to it because biodegradable food packaging is a little bit more expensive, but there are other alternatives as long as the people understand that the environment is a lot more important given the size of the CNMI and how much trash we can throw in the recycling or our wasteland. We understand that now is the time to take this move and go for paper products or packaging that's eco-friendly here at CNMI. So I am in support. I'm ready for the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Correctivo. Our floor leader. Anyone else? Yes, Rep. Camacho.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also in support of this bill. However, the alternatives, biodegradable, are we ready to actually make that work? If this bill was to be adopted, I believe that it would take some time before we actually get rid of all the styrofoams and plastics and all that. So we may have to give it, maybe change in language to address dates when it will be implemented. This is gonna take long. It's gonna take long before all this really starts to happen. Thank you.
Yes, Rep. Lizama.
Yes, and in regards to what Rep. Camacho was saying, I know that this bill was signed in January, and if this becomes law, it will be an effective date January 2023. I think we should change the language where once it becomes a law, we'll give them a year. The effective date is that okay? There's more sufficient, Mayor Council?
Well, the current language now says January,
Very good.
beginning January 1st,
2023.
2023, which is, now it's 2021.
I understand that is, okay, so are we gonna give them by a year or by 6 months after the law?
I would just,
Well, the Representative Camacho's concern is perhaps the amount of time needed to comply with the law. I mean, a year, you're making it shorter, I think, if you put 1 year. So either you leave to the same language, January 1st, 2023, or increase the year.
Yeah.
Rather than shortening it to 1 year.
Right. So, that's my concern.
Yes, Floor Leader Yumo.
thank you, and I do understand the concern made by Rep. Lizama. The business concern that if we do change the date, obviously they import this item. These items are very expensive because they're very light and it takes a lot of space in any container. So they normally fill up a container of merchandise and the rest is all bulk. So 2 years is really a lot of time. They can't ship a whole container of styrofoam because it's just too costly. So what happens is most businesses will fill up their containers with regular items and then whatever space they have, they'll fill it up with foam items. So there's 2 years is really a long time before this one takes in effect. I think we should leave it. Customs would regulate this. Come January 2023, they would basically reject any of these items coming into the CNMI. So it will be a loss to any business that would try to do that. So I think 2 years is adequate. There is not a lot of stockpile of styrofoam here in the CNMI, unlike plastic products where you can store a whole lot. It takes more than 2 years to finish, like paper plastic bags. Those take way longer. Foam, like I'm not advocating for, but it does take a lot of space in the container. So 2 years is a lot, and I understand Rep. Lizama's concern, but 2 years is adequate. Thank you.
And can you clarify? So are you saying you
Just leave it.
leave it as it is? Okay, all right. Any more?
Yeah, back to the main motion to pass, to adopt.
Okay,
So go back to the
so can we have a motion to,
already. We're just gonna vote.
okay,
All those in favor?
oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can you identify what we're in favor for?
To keep this, okay.
To adopt.
its original form.
That
Only one more like.
Yes.
Okay. All opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay. So the ayes have it.
And that's the calendar, right?
No, pass. No.
The next one, House Bill 22-12. A bill for an act to amend 4 CMC subsection 51420B to authorize the Secretary of Commerce to establish and promulgate a reasonable resignation or registration and permitting fees through adopted regulations and for other purposes. Discussion. Yes, Floor Leader Yumo.
Thank you, Chairwoman, I believe the authors here, maybe you can share some history to the light of this bill. I don't support it because it increases fees, but maybe he can chime in and try to persuade me right now.
Okay. All right, yes, Rep. Blanco.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And, thank you very much, Floor. This bill is a recycled bill again. It was a bill that was encouraged by the Department of Commerce to regulate certain vehicles that provide site visits to many of our sites, but are not paying any fees to the government to do so. And I'll give a perfect example. You recall driving around here. Do you remember the name of the Korean vehicles? Monteros. Yes, thank you. There you encounter about what 20 some Monteros one after another going to the tourist sites. The only fee that they pay is the registration fee at BMV, but there's no fee for them to take tourists to our sites. And you have to understand there's so many tourists that they bring, they leave a footprint and then they are gone. So Commerce noticed that there is a need to establish a fee to monitor these tour operators and also to ensure that they comply with whatever laws and rules that we have on the safety of their customers and the cleanliness of the tourist sites that they visit. This bill has been in the Senate. I'm not sure why it sits there and not acted on. Regardless, it is my intent, and I hope it is the intent of this committee, that we will keep trying, we will keep knocking on the door to ensure that our visitors come here, they are comfortable and confident that any vehicle that they ride in is regulated by the government. There's insurance in case of an accident and whatnot. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rep. Blanco. Yes, Rep. Camacho.
We're talking about receiving funds again. What about MBA? Where does MBA fall into this? We're talking about tour groups, tour vehicles. If Congress wants to open up their own, I guess, finance system, every other agency should. But this one, from what I'm looking at, it has to do with tours. You got the BMV, Bureau of Motor Vehicle, and you have MBA. So, and then again, we have to talk about, you have to remember the general funds. Where is this money? I mean, it's just for their operations to keep an eye on what's going on out there. We've got everybody keeping an eye on everybody. But we're talking about funds here. That's kind of difficult to just have everybody start charging everybody. I don't see it clearly right now, but we have to think about the general funds as well, and MBA, BMV, and everybody else that requires money. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Camacho. Yes, Rep. Lizama.
At once upon a time, I was an owner of a taxi business. And it's a competition with the taxi business and the people who are doing business for tourists. We get up to Commerce and say, look, these guys are taking 5 passengers up to the mountain or up to the tour site, and they're not paying taxes, they're not paying insurance, they're not paying the ability, they're just buying a regular car. So with this bill, this is a recycle bill. I believe I supported the last time it was in the floor. I believe it's a good bill. We want to identify those people, even they're Koreans or Chinese. We've seen them around, not only what is it, Bronco? They
Yeah.
use, huh?
For runners.
They use also, runners, you know. So this is just to identify that when a group of people come into to the site, they better be paying what they're supposed to be paying. So with this bill, I recommend that we move forward and for adoption. And that's basically, good, it's good for not for the MBA, but the Commerce would collect that fee. If you're talking about who's gonna get the money, uh, that's gonna be identified later on. You bet. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Representative. Yes,
Just
Madam
a brief
Clerk.
history about House Bill 22-12. This was introduced as House Bill 2170 during the 21st legislature. It was adopted in its original form, Standing Committee Report 2131. When it was transmitted to the Senate adopted it in the form of Senate Substitute 1. Author, is it the Senate Substitute 1 that you introduced, or your?
I think this is
version?
Senate substitute.
So with the Senate Substitute 1, they added definitions for corporations, money transmissions, and persons. Also, they ensured that money transmitter companies conducting businesses in the CNMI are licensed. So there was a couple of changes that were made in the Senate. And then by the time it came back to the House, there wasn't enough time to act on it. And that's how this version of the bill just stayed in the House. So as the
After
author,
the changes.
yes, after the Senate Substitute 1.
Chair, push recess first. Recess. Can you shut the door?
So I believe this was a substitute bill that was changed to the remittance, if I'm not mistaken. So The same thing, no? Introduction.
Yeah.
So can we, this, is
Table?
the legal counsel that signed this is only, we cannot ask him more.
Yes, Representative.
Thank you, Chairwoman. You know, I need more time with this. Seriously, there was a little comment came in this morning. And, yes, only about one comment, came in this morning. And so I would like to, make a move to, put this back on the table.
No objection.
Second.
Okay, so, but is this on pending legal counsel?
Yes.
Okay, so can I get a motion to table?
Already.
Oh, already,
I second.
No objection.
okay, so,
What's no objection?
Is there any objection?
any objection?
Ready?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 22-24 has been tabled. Next, 22-55, a bill for an act to amend 4 CMC subsection 5526 to establish a separate license for online sales of alcoholic beverages and for other purposes.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Just for,
Yes, Floor Leader Yumo.
thank you, Chairwoman. Yes. I believe the mover is still in the chamber. We have no objection to it. It does, there is a lot of online sellers now that are not being, I guess, licensed to do businesses here, especially with regards to selling alcohol. I am in support of it, and we'll see how far this goes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Floor Leader. Yes, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with this, bill. We only focus on, alcohol beverage. I do know that there's other online, sales or businesses that's been ongoing in our island and I guess we just have to, come up with that other items or type of sales to be, also, become a law, just like the way on this bill. I'm in support of this bill because it's got alcohol involved. And concerned with the ages that are ordering it. So, I'm in support of this bill. I yield back. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Representative. Rep. Camacho.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also in support of this bill, but as he has said, I was thinking about that earlier, it's about the legal age of ordering, like anything else, consumption of alcohol is gotta be 21. How do I identify buyers for alcoholic beverages online? How we can identify that? However, I guess there are precautionary measures out there to ensure that the buyers under 21 are identified. But I am in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Camacho. Any more discussion? Okay. Can I get a motion to adopt this bill, 22-55?
Make a motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairwoman. Make a motion. Make a motion to adopt this bill.
Okay, has been seconded, motion and seconded. Any discussion?
Ready?
Okay, those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. House Bill 22-55 has been adopted. Okay, next, House Bill 22-56, a bill for an act to assess fee on plastic checkout bags distributed in the Commonwealth and for other purposes. Any discussion? Yes, Rep. Lizama.
Thank you, Madam Chair. About time. We're gonna charge this plastic, this nickel or dime, right? If you're in the States. And encourage the consumers to come in with their own bags. So with this, will help us eliminate all the trash. I've been collecting trash along the road. Yeah, just about every day or every weekend. So it's a good deal. However, well, I would still like to make a move to put this on table for now.
Second. Discussion.
Discussion?
Thank you, Rep. Lizama. I do understand the intent of the bill, but there has to be some clarification as to the fees, because if a business does bring it or import plastic here, is customs gonna charge each plastic $1? And that is gonna cause a lot of confusion. So in turn, it might cause a larger fee to be passed on to the customers. So this needs to be clarified. We do need comment from the agency that's gonna regulate it. So we are gonna look, we need some basically comment to look at that. Now, if it was, 10 cents or per bag, it's a lot more easier to pass on to customers. It might be just 25 cents per piece, but $1 penalty or a fee, usage fee is just too high. It will cost a lot of people to customers, as it will be passed on to customers. So I do agree, Rep. Lizama, just to table it and wait comments from the Department of or Customs, Division of Customs. Thank you.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Yes, Rep. Camacho.
This kind of, you look at House Bill 22-10, what we're trying to do is remove all non-biodegradable items. Even if we sell plastics for 5 cents, we still have the plastic problems. So I too recommend we take this for further discussion. Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to table? Already. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, anyone opposed, say no. Okay, the ayes have it. House Bill 22-56 has been tabled. Thank you. Number 4. Okay,
Chair, before we move to.
yes, Floor Leader.
So for the record, can we, can the committee, follow up comments from all of the agencies that were, that
These things were sent to,
exactly, yeah, yes, so that we can have that. Now they don't respond, then we'll just move on the bill, on
do
the
you want
next.
me to just read it out or?
No, just to follow up, maybe your office follow up with the comments.
Oh,
So
okay.
not everybody has submitted
Yes.
comments, and now they don't submit comments, then we'll just move, on the bill,
Okay,
on the next,
All right.
conversation. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Floor Leader. Okay, next on the agenda, miscellaneous. Any miscellaneous? Nothing? Okay, announcements? Any announcements? Yes, Rep. Komatsu.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to make an announcement that tonight at 6 p.m. at the Carolina Hood Precinct 3 is gonna host their, town hall, 6 p.m. today. I'm excited. Please come by. Thank you.
Okay, next, adjournment. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair,
Oh,
I make a motion to adjourn the session.
okay, motion seconded. Do I hear? Can I hear, those who
No
agree?
objection, Chairwoman.
Oh, okay, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Oh. I have it right in front of me and I'm not even reading it. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Maybe that's why. Don't even look at it.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming,
Just,
sir. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And this is the only the third time.
Yeah.
We've been doing this.
next